miles wide. It's massive. Why didn't you see anything on the radar screen?
Well, the thing about a black hole is it's black. And the thing about space, the colour of space, is it's black. So you're supposed to see them.
I'm gonna share an unpopular opinion. It's very close, but I prefer this Holly over the original Holly. She has a kind of cute ditziness that the original didn't have. So anyway, Holly has suddenly spotted 5 black holes, so Rimmer and Lister are abandoning ship and taking their favorite belongings with them just in case. Rimmer has an expensive chest full of mementos and a stashed away savings. That's going to come up again later.
And you had the front to borrow money off me to buy me a birthday present.
So with all the other changes I talked about last time, I didn't get around to the changes in Lister's look. He's gone from simple t-shirts and Hawaiian shirts to a black leather jacket which he has heavily personalized. His look in general is a lot more interesting and utilitarian. Anyway, Crichton and Kat are leaving Red Dwarf as well in the Blue Midget. I guess they must be going off in different directions because there would have been plenty of room for everyone in Starbug, according to later seasons anyway. Meanwhile, Holly will maneuver Red Dwarf around the black holes and they'll all rendezvous on the other side.
Look, if you get curry all over them, how's that gonna look?
It'll make him look more authentic. People will think he's got dysentery.
So back on Starbug, Lister is looking at all the little wooden soldiers Rimmer has in his chest and mentions the irony about how Rimmer is obsessed with war despite being too cowardly to ever participate in a fight, illustrated in a conversation about a fight he started and then ducked out of.
I merely voiced the rumor that McWilliams was sexually tilted in favor of sleeping with the dead.
To his face. Right to his face. When he was his 4 biggest mates. And then do your Roadrunner act and you leave me to face the music.
Rimmer talks about how he visited the palace of Alexander the Great and how he felt a connection with him.
Believe it or not, he told me that in a previous incarnation, I was Alexander the Great's chief eunuch.
Do you know something? I believe you.
I do too. So Lister is right in the middle of criticizing Rimmer for how he never lives in the moment when Starbug is struck by a flaming meteor and it crashes into the nearest planet, which happens to be a frozen wasteland. Fun fact, the fall that Craig Charles took here was real. They were using soap flakes for the snow and he just slipped on them. They kept it because it's hilarious. I like how Rimmer is wearing a coat like he'd really need one. I guess it's a military thing and he's just that picky about sticking to protocol.
Still snowing, is it?
So anyway, now they're stranded and there's a limit to how much food there is.
There's half a bag of soggy smoky bacon crisps, a tin of mustard powder, a brown lemon, 2 bottles of vinegar, and a tube of Bonjela gum ointment.
And that's it, there's nothing else.
Just a pot noodle. Oh, and I found a tin of dog food in the tool cupboard.
Well, it's obvious what gets eaten last then, isn't it? Can't stand pot noodles.
So of course Lister is hungry and everything is reminding him of food.
Look at these books. Charles Lamb, Herman Wack, The Complete Works of Francis Bacon, The Caretaker by Harold Pinter.
It's Pinter!
Lister needs to take his mind off of food, so he tries to get Rimmer to tell him about how he lost his virginity.
The first time was with this girl I met at cadet school called Sandra.
I thought it was Yvonne Magruder. So Lister tells his own story, and apparently it involved a golf course.
I was so excited I nearly dropped my skateboard.
Skateboard? How old were you?
12.
12?
Ew.
You can't have been a full member of the golf club then. You did it on a golf course and you weren't a member? You didn't pay any green fees or anything?
That's an odd detail to fixate on. Anyway, Lister starts tearing pages out of the books to burn. Remember, it's a frozen wasteland outside, so there are no trees. And of course, Rimmer doesn't approve.
Just being in a book.
But it's not just a book. It's the only copy of probably the greatest work in English literature.
Have you ever actually read any of it?
I've seen West Side Story, that's based on it.
He even brilliantly acts out a quote from Richard III.
Now! That's all I can remember.
He is allowed to burn most of Lolita, however.
Save page 61. That bit.
It's disgusting.
I'll say. Sometime later, Shakespeare is on the fire and Lister is about to eat dog food.
And you can take that look off your face like I'm doing something disgusting. I'm just trying to stay alive.
I'm sure the dog food will be lovely.
For maximum grossness, they got the camera in as close as they could to the point where it's actually touching his hand.
Well, now I can see why dogs lick their testicles. It's to take away the taste of the food.
According to Craig Charles, it was not actually dog food,
That wasn't really dog food. I've said it was and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't really dog food.
but it was still pretty gross. Well, now the books have all been burned, and Lister starts looking at Rimmer's wooden chest with all the little wooden soldiers and paper money inside. Rimmer relents on the money, deciding that the nostalgic value of the chest itself and the soldiers is worth more. But Lister wants to burn the soldiers next.
You've got to get your priorities right. I mean, nothing's more important than a human life.
What about your guitar?
Except my guitar. That is an authentic Les Paul copy.
I'm kind of with Rimmer on this one. Lister is the one who is trying to survive here. Seems like it's only fair to burn his own possessions before moving on to Rimmer's.
Can I just play one song on it? Just one for the road.
Rimmer's reaction to Lister's guitar playing isn't too different from his reaction to Lister eating dog food.
Just gonna...
So as soon as Rimmer leaves, Lister cuts a guitar-shaped hole out of Rimmer's trunk, burns that, and hides the guitar. Dick move, Lister.
Burn the soldiers!
So Rimmer completely buys it and is so impressed with Lister's sacrifice that he insists that Lister burn the soldiers as well. And so he gives them a proper send-off. How touching.
There's something I've got to tell you. Something awful.
Lister deservedly feels bad about what he did and is about to confess when Cat and Crichton show up to rescue them. Also, it turns out that there weren't any black holes after all.
What were they?
Grit. You see, the thing about grit is it's black. And the thing about the scanoscope...
Oh, shut up!
Anyway, as Rimmer is telling Crichton about how honorable Lister is, Lister gets his guitar.
Open the trunk.
And Rimmer finally figures out what happened.
Get the hacksaw and follow me. We're going to do to Lister what Alexander the Great once did to me.
Yikes. And so ends Marooned. Marooned uses a really popular sitcom trope called Locked in a Freezer, where two characters are at odds with each other and end up locked in a room together where, while facing the possibility of death, they end up making peace with each other before being rescued. More often than not, it seems to be a meat locker, but elevators are a popular setting too. However, the ending subverts it. So this episode is mostly predictable. That's not a bad thing, though. Red Dwarf can get away with these kinds of cliches because it has such fun characters and the writing is really strong. Also, they got creative and decided to use a handheld camera for a lot of the shots in Starbug to make it feel even more claustrophobic. This might possibly be the first time that was done for a sitcom. There isn't much else to say about Marooned. It's fairly straightforward, but again, that's not a bad thing. Next up is a classic, Polymorph. See you then.
Ship. Oh God, now the sirens bust. A wooga, abandoned ship.